Alright guys, so now that we have finished our sculpting and fiberglassing work on the corner pieces here, we're now going to go ahead and take the flare back off the car and we're going to do all of our interior work that we need to do. I had explained briefly before how we need to go ahead and blend this ledge that we left, that the wood left underneath. We're going to need to blend that into this new sidewall right here. We also need to cut out these areas that the clay is sitting on currently and extract that clay from the inside on the corner pieces, and then we're going to double up on the fiberglass on the inside so we get nice strong corner connector pieces right there on both sides. And once all the interior work is all done, we're going to go ahead and put the flare back on the car and we're going to start the process on the final refinement. That's going to be sanding down the fiberglass here, body filling it, getting all these detail lines all sharpened up, and those are going to be the finishing touches before we head into primer on this thing. We're making great progress, so let's get this thing off the car and start doing our interior refinement work. Alright, flare's off the car now. So now we have access to everything that we're going to need to adjust here. Of course, this is that ledge that I was talking about. We got to smooth that down into the new sidewall here. All this extra fiberglass, we're going to go ahead and cut that all out. We don't need that. We're going to go ahead and do any adjustments that we need to make to our fiberglassing as well. Probably add a little bit of extra fiberglass right here while I have it off and have easy access to it. And we're going to be cutting all this out, all this stuff that we no longer need, because all this down here is our new sidewall. So all this under here is what we're going to be keeping, and all this has got to be hollowed out. We're going to need to cut a big hole right here, right along where that clay, where we laid that clay up. This is the front portion. We laid that clay up about right here. We're going to need to cut all this out right here with our Dremel or our oscillating saw, and then we're going to go ahead and extract all the clay that's in there, because that clay is still under the fiberglass. So we got to take this wall out, get the clay out, and then smooth everything together and then re-fiberglass the whole thing. Alright, same exact thing on this side as well. We have to cut a big hole right here where all the clay is laid up. We got to remove this fiberglass wall, get all the clay out, smooth it all down, then re-fiberglass. After all that is complete, we can go ahead and flip the flare back over and start our final refinement process on the exterior. A lot of work to do, but we're going to get it done. Okay, so after a ton of sanding and Dremel work, you can see I've gone ahead and cut that hole out on both sides that I was describing before. And I've extracted the clay. The clay was right here and right here previously, kind of in this exact area where I've Dremeled out right here. It was all sitting right there, so we have now access to our outside layer of fiberglass that we laid up. This is the new extended cap pieces on the sides. So we've got that all Dremeled out. We now have access to this so we can re-fiberglass this from the inside. I've also sanded down that lip that was right here. Here was that sharp edge. The wood was right here previously. It's all now blended really nicely so that when we lay our fiberglass up, it's all going to be nice and smooth up to that new sidewall right there. So we're looking really good. Took a ton of sanding, a ton of Dremel work, but we're looking really good on the inside now. I also went ahead and cleaned up a lot of the fiberglassing through here. We're still going to go ahead and do a Bondo layup to get this really nice and smooth, get all those little pits and everything all cleaned up, get it all looking good on both sides. And these of course will be fiberglassed on the inside here to reinforce as well. So we're looking good, guys. Let's go ahead and start our fiberglass layup on the inside to reinforce. Okay, so here we are post fiberglass. I went ahead and used heavyweight fiberglass mat, that's this stuff right here, to just go ahead and lay down one thick layer of fiberglass all the way through all these new sanded areas right here, and we got a really nice solid reinforced result. I went in through the corners right here as well, got those nice and solid on both sides, and now this fiberglass, the new fiberglass that we added for these new side pieces, is all really hard and rigid, really nice. It's about at least 1/8 of an inch thick, so really strong, not going to be giving me any trouble at all. Now along the new sidewall here, I went ahead and doubled up on the fiberglass because this area right here tends to be the most sensitive, the most prone to cracking. The wheel's going to be coming up, it may touch that when I hit bumps or whatever, so I doubled up on the fiberglass just to give the sidewall right here and this area right here just a little extra strength so it doesn't crack quite so easily if I were to hit something while I'm driving. So we're essentially done on the back side at this point. So now that the interior work is done, or mostly done at least, we can now move on to the longest but most important part of all, and that's going to be the exterior refinement. Tightening up all these lines right here on the detail lines and getting the sidewall to the exact shape. You can see as I went in underneath with my fiberglass, I extended it past the sidewall where I cut here, extended it past just a little bit there so I could lower that sidewall down just a little bit, and then I'm going to shave this top line down a little bit as well, as I had briefly explained I was going to need to do earlier on. And we're going to go ahead and sand down all this fiberglass through the top. It should be plenty strong enough because we had the reinforcement underneath. And then of course we're going to do Bondo over all of this area right here so it's all really nice and smooth. We're going to match it up with all this so it will be completely seamless. It's going to be beautiful, guys. So let's get the flare back on the car and start doing our sanding of these side areas and our Bondo work. Alright guys, so after a couple of days of refinement, we now have this thing looking absolutely cherry. You can see the previously fiberglassed area there, right there in the back, and then this area right here in the front we had also fiberglassed, now looking perfectly seamless. Of course it needs to be primered and painted. Don't mind the finish on it at the moment, but you can see that curve, perfect. Completely smooth, sidewall perfectly straight from the back, perfect. And as I step back a little bit more, you can see the symmetry between the two sides. Perfect symmetry between the two sides, or dang close to it. If not 100% perfect, it's probably 90, 95, 99% perfect. Definitely within satisfactory range for me. So we are looking absolutely brilliant. Sidewall, as I'd mentioned before, has been adjusted just slightly. I took the sidewall, the bottom of the sidewall here, and lowered it down by about 1/8 of an inch, and then dropped this line by 1/8 of an inch as well. So now we have that nice adjustment so that when I put my finger here, the factory quarter panel right here and the side of the flare are now even. Previously it was a little bit angled, so this was a little too high. The over fender was a little too high, so my finger was sitting like this. Now with that adjustment, it's nice and horizontal all the way across the wheel well. That's the goal. So it's like that on both sides. We got the same exact height as the factory wheel wells, only now they are 2.5 inches wider on each side. So looking absolutely dope. Loving it. From the front, bear in mind the car is still aired up, so it looks like a monster truck. And I still have those front flares taped right now. Haven't fixed those permanently yet, but looking good, guys. Looking really good. So now we are ready to go ahead and take this one to primer. And go ahead and take it off the car, get some primer on it so it can look at least as decent as this one does. Still doesn't quite match the body color, but that stands to change ASAP. So let's get the thing off the car and get some primer on it. Alright, so after having applied 2 coats of filler primer, I went ahead and sanded it down real well, put it back on the car, and man, I'm a happy camper. Check it out, guys. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up our little mini diversion series on widening out the flares. I have finally got a result that I am 100% satisfied with on the flares. Not absolutely perfect, but it's really close. It's definitely good enough for what I'm going to be satisfied with. I'm very happy with the rear flares in this build at this point. So we can now go ahead and move on to getting these things painted just temporarily. I'm still kind of on the fence with what finish I want to do on them. I said previously that I was going to do the matte black on them, but I'm not sure I want to go that route after thinking about it. I don't know, I'm also thinking about possibly just wrapping them, doing a wrap in some kind of something cool. I don't know yet. I've got a couple of ideas swimming around in my head. So as for moving forward with the project is definitely going to continue forward. I'm going to be doing the front flares as well. I'm actually going to end up doing 2 sets of front flares. I'm going to do the first set with just these polyurethane temporary guys that I have. I'm going to do a fiberglass over those and do kind of a little bit of a custom design on those. It won't be as extensive as what I have in mind ultimately for the front flares, but it's going to be something that's really nice temporarily while I'm running the stock fenders in the front and the bumper that I have, the polyurethane Nismo version 3 bumper in the front. And then eventually I'm going to do another set, and that is after I get the Superleggera fenders in the front. I'm going to go ahead and do a more extensive front flare for the fronts, but that's not going to be for a little while. That's going to come a little while down the road. However, I am moving, so I'm going to be transitioning from this place where I'm living right now to another location, and that may put the project on hold a little bit. I don't know how quickly I'm going to be able to jump back into the project, hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't want to take a lot of time off of the project. I want to keep the momentum rolling on the project at this point. I'm very excited about the Z. I'm excited to get it up and back on the road. I can go ahead and proceed to cutting the quarter panels out right here and cut the fenders in the front out, and then just mock up those front flares real quick so I can at least start driving the car. Very excited to start driving my Z again. It has been way too long since I've actually driven my Z out on the road. I'm ready to drive this car for sure. Now that I have these back ones done, I can go and get an alignment and get the quarter panels and everything cut and get this thing on the road. So the next thing that you're probably going to see is me cutting the quarter panels and the fenders. That's going to be the next series of videos, I imagine. Don't hold me to that. That could change. There's a couple of other things that I want to do with the project as well. I'm going to end up doing a head unit install. I'm changing out the head unit inside, so I'm going to be doing that. Some other things as well, some other little miscellaneous things that I have in my mind that I'm going to be adding to the project. But stay tuned, guys. There's going to be a lot more coming with this Z. Like I said, I am moving, so don't be surprised if there's a little bit of a gap between videos. I know I don't regularly upload anyways, but do forgive me for that, because I am changing locations and it's a little bit of a substantial move at that, so there will be a little bit of a pause in the project while I transition. But Project Xylus is going to move forward. Thank you guys so much for keeping up with me. If you've been watching this series, thank you so much. If you're subscribed, I appreciate it so very much. If you're not subscribed yet and you're into cars and you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and like this video and like some of my other videos as well. There's a lot more coming with this, and I hope you guys will continue to come back and enjoy. But as always, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next time as soon as possible. God bless.